say anything and jump to a conclusion in the next 2 weeks.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, quite clearly, as you'd expect he would be, which manufacturer actually there for Fermin Aldeguer. This weekend, Magello seems to be a Maverick. Don't entertain returning until you are 100% fully fit. So maybe another 2 or 3 week buffer, another couple of weeks on the treatment table will get Maverick time. One of the biggest rider markets we've ever seen in MotoGP. It's tough to be convincing anybody, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Aldeguer. I thought it was his teammate coming through the picture, but it was actually Aldeguer. There's Alex Marquez off to the right, and he's in the middle of the chicane. He's desperately trying to keep it up on his left knee, because he doesn't have to restart it on the service road. The front end is already going. You can see his right foot's now starting to come out as he's trying to wrestle that bike back upright once again. And unfortunately for Fermin, it was a losing battle.
Yeah, thankfully nobody really close behind him as well who's going to get caught up in that particular incident. You ain't saving that one, Fermin, I'm afraid. Down he goes on the road.
Of course, it's a left leg that he's been recuperating, that he's trying to skiing with a little bit of a limp, which is the legacy of that injury that he suffered some 4 months ago.
Pre-French Grand Prix, I have to say the gossip columns to Gunther Steiner, but having done a bit of digging this weekend and spoken to some of our media centre colleagues, it seems to have swung back in favour of KTM and the status quo being remaining at 50% of their entry in MotoGP as well. 850cc capacity next year, and it would be a disaster really at this stage for KTM to lose half of their entry. So they are moving heaven and earth. We're told they're moving mountains to try and...
Right team over the years, be it with KTM or, of course, more famously in previous years with Yamaha, and of course that's why they would be such an asset potentially to Honda if they would be able to bring them into the fold. Of course, the Tech 3 squad to that roster of bikes and have 6 bikes on the grid next year, which of course would match Ducati on the 2027 grid. That would be a huge feather in the cap of Honda when, as you say, you want all that data.
Maybe while Gunther Steiner's having a good look around at all his options, maybe he just wanted to go in a different direction just to put his own stamp on the Tech 3 project moving forward. But as he mentioned, if nobody's going to be really quite sure when all these keys really have to have their following season plans all set in stone by around the end of June. So you can't be mucking around in these negotiations. So it is a big call. Do you decide to, do you stick? Are Tech 3 going to stick or twist? That's one of the big questions for 2027.
And we're about to see Fabio Di Giannantonio potentially go top. 30.7 for Di Gian. That is the fastest lap time of the day. So many are expecting that Honda to be a rocket ship next year in the 2027, the new era of MotoGP. Everything we hear about that new 850 is that it is super quick, but yeah, we won't truly know until all the 850s are put on the same racetrack at the same time at the start of next season. A pretty go. So yeah, as Gunther said, whatever you do, whatever manufacturer you go with, if you're a satellite team next year, you are to a certain extent guessing.
If it is just the 4 Hondas next year, Johann Zarco's this year, well, he was already signed on a 2-year contract with Zarco. His name was never in any doubt. Moreira likewise to stay put in LCR. And Fabio Quartararo and David Alonso, we believe, are going to be the official HRC picks. So it seems like the names are pretty much done and dusted as far as Honda's potential 4-bike entry next season. In the present, as Lewis mentioned, Fabio Di Giannantonio. Well, we keep waxing lyrical, don't we, about Digi's performances. Shopping list for 2027. Heard his name mentioned once again with Trackhouse Aprilia, and why wouldn't it be, given the form he's shown so far? Aprilia in its current guise, I mean, obviously if they could, not expecting any kind of significant drop-off from Aprilia in the new era next season, that will become a very attractive
porting of Ayagura potentially heading to Yamaha. Of course, at the lure, as we discussed this morning, of a factory seat, you can understand why I is making that decision, but that is such an attractive ride for someone next Trackhouse team for next season. Joan Mir is in a potential reunion with his World Championship winning team manager, Davide Bribia.
Yeah, you have to feel that there's probably more than a small tinge of regret at Trackhouse and at Aprilia, both with the American team and the Niwali factory, that they've somehow let Agura slip through the net. You thought that he would have been maybe a candidate for a future factory Aprilia rider. I can perfectly understand why he has been tempted to go to the Yamaha factory. Down through this magnificent turn 6, latch up out. Really does drop off that downhill right-hander. Here's Ayagura. I was just keeping an eye on Ayagura, actually. He may be slotting himself close to top 3, maybe certainly in the top 6 Gura, but something went wrong in this third sector. Whether he ran off here in the chicane, a very easy mistake to make.
We have seen a bit of a running theme through this season of him not necessarily nailing soft tyre time attacks. Hasn't qualified any higher than 6th so far this season, and he said after Jerez every hour.
Yeah, and he also suffers early on in Grand Prix and in sprints, that fresh rubber when the tyre's new. Just struggles to get the pace quickly, doesn't he, Agura? So the factory, the Ducati team around everywhere, old aero as well as far as the Bologna factory is concerned. Of course, they'll be focusing predominantly on Marc Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia in the factory garage. I'm delighted to say we can get the thoughts of the boss, Davide Tardozzi, with Jack.
Yeah, good to be able to speak with Davide. As I was explaining at the start of the session, Davide, Alex Marquez and Fabio Gianantonio, obviously with the new aerodynamics package that we saw you test in Jerez. Quite interestingly though, Marc not opting for that, instead going for that decision from Marc to go back to the aero package from the side fairings anyway, that he knows so well.
No, now the aero package is completely different. It seems the same, but it's different. It's something that we test in Jerez, and both riders have now on the bike. It seems that Pecco is not so bad on timing. He did 30.9 2 laps ago. So we'll see while they are working on that.
You said in Jerez after the test that you felt that a step had been made from what you've seen in the session this morning and halfway through the practice session. Do you still believe that to be the case?
Yeah, we still think that there is a small advantage.
But it's clear that there are two different development paths between the independent riders and Marc. Pecco is seemingly on something different as well.
Of every rider, so I think that this is a must from Ducati, and Gigi listen to every rider, factory or satellite, and try to...
Ducati boss Davide Tardozzi, I'm sorry Davide, but I'm actually the Ducati team. They've not had a post sparks flying, not in a particularly good way as far as firming anybody behind him. Well, he would have had the opportunity of veered to the right to maybe avoided contact in a practice session, but that happens in a race. Scary.
It's a rider's instincts, I guess, always to try and save any kind of moment like that, especially nowadays with the regulations on restarting a bike. If you lose the engine, you have to go behind the tyre barrier and restart your bike again, so they're almost incentivized to try and hang on to the clutch, hang on to the bike, and try and stop the engine from cutting out. Agura, who is still on used tyres, we haven't seen him go across to a brand new soft yet, continues to improve. He's up to 14th place. Martin also making his way up the order. He now takes 6th. He slots in just behind his teammate Marco Bezzecchi. So we've got a 10th of a second covering the top 5 at the moment, and just under 4/10 covering the top 10.
Yeah, Agura will know that if he can qualify better and if he can be perhaps a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more confident, or get more feeling on fully denied, of course, first podium when his engine went kaput when he was steamrolling towards the top 3 in Austin, and pretty much every Grand Prix so far this year, Thailand have just got to get Saturday morning sorted out, hasn't he, Agura, because he keeps blowing these wonderful opportunities race pace wise. I mean, he's as good as anybody else on the grid.
But either way, it's still a qualifying session when you've got to go out there and deliver, and he certainly had too much late race pace through his teammate, didn't he, in Jerez, passing Raul Fernandez into turn 6 on the very, even if their winning streak came to an end.
He's a pocket rocket, isn't he, Agura? One of the sort of lighter and shorter riders in the MotoGP field, so just wondered as well maybe in the early part of the Grand Prix on Sunday in particular.
Raul Fernandez.
Not in a very good way yet. His right foot's going to be getting very, very hot there. That's going to be a terminal one by the looks of it. Flames pouring out the side of the Aprilia RSGP. Quickly on the scene. That's a cooked RSGP Aprilia trackside there as far as Raul Fernandez is concerned. He parks it up quickly. And now his mission is to get back to the paddock as quickly as he possibly can. Oh, is that down at garage?
The pits from there, down at turn 8, we're right at the opposite end of the race. To see a replay, see how that fire started.
Well, he seconded the scooter.
Yeah, give me the keys.
You're okay, mate. I'll ride this one back. Thank you very much. Smoke still pouring off the side as far as Fernandez is concerned. So they're already prepping the spare bike for the Spanish rider. Did really well there, didn't he? As soon as he could feel the intense heat building around his weight of the Spaniard. He was sitting in 10th place, which is where he still is, for 1:31.124. But crucially now for the late session time attacks, Raul Fernandez.
The top 10 at the moment, as Fabio Gianantonio continues his work on used tyres Got Ducati, KTM, Ducati, Honda, Aprilia, Honda, Ducati, Aprilia inside the top 10, and that is what is making things so close, and that's what's potentially going to spoil the day of someone like Alex Marquez currently in 13th, Agura down in 14th place at the moment, Morbidelli down in 19th on the VR46 Ducati, just ahead of Aldeguer, who we've already seen crash. It's the speed and the performance of the Hondas so far. 4 Hondas, and I mean all 4 of them, because Moreira's up in 12th place. They are really complicating matters for Ducati, Aprilia and KTM this afternoon.
From the outside, Le Mans doesn't look like it's got a lot of undulation, but on board now with Marco Bezzecchi, where you really do drop off down into Garage Vert, just like Didier. He gets it all wrong as well into that tricky turn 8. Decelerating from 4th gear around 265 kilometers an hour down to that tight double right-hander, 1st gear 70 kilometers an hour. Here's another real spectacular part of the undulating feature. Then now as you go to the museum corner, this is the turn 7 left-hander, and then it feels like you're dropping off a cliff once again as you power down the hill into Garage Vert. Back with a Costa was at Garage Vert in 2024 when Pedro Acosta was threading that KTM through the eye of a needle. I'm still not quite sure himself how he knew he got away with that one. Was it Fabio Di Gianantonio?
Yeah, narrowly missed it.
He was this morning. He's been a permanent fixture inside that top 3 this afternoon as well. He's currently still in 2nd.
And already looking more competitive than he did at any stage in the Spanish Grand Prix weekend. Not a circuit that he admits he's ever really got the best out of. And Bastianini was comfortably the quickest KTM at most parts of that weekend. Off the pace, and we've got Binder down in 17th place, less than 0.6 of a second off the pace, and less than 0.2 off Q2, but he's down in 17th. Of course, Folger, teammate to Bastianini, he's at the back of the field on a
top 21 riders in this practice session, all the way down from Didier, who we're looking at now, tackle the final 2 right-handers. That's the perfect way to tackle recording one. Down to through the first chicane, now through the fearsome, the scary blind entry through turn 2. Hard on the brakes now through 3. You really have got to be full commitment, full precision through that first corner. Fabio Di Gianantonio nailed that quite beautifully. He just looks at one, doesn't he, right now, with that Ducati GP26. Rider and machine working in perfect harmony together. Jorge Martin knows what that feels like on a Ducati, because he did it so often, of course, back in 2024. And he is out on circuit after the early get-off at the Shimano Burfestes. Jorge's been fast. He didn't take him too long to get into the 130s. He's not even a 10th and a half, actually, behind Di Gianantonio.
So here's the lesser spotted Marc Marquez today. We haven't seen an awful lot of the world champion for much of the 2 sessions we've had so far today. He's currently in 9th place on a 1:31.0 session began, and of course they're all doing this homework, putting in laps on the soft rear tyre, continuing to put the miles in, and they might not even get to use this homework in a dry Grand Prix. From warm-up all the way through Moto 3, Moto 2 and into the MotoGP Grand Prix impact proceedings, with hope, and the likelihood at the moment is that just on the balance of probabilities that we should get a dry sprint.
That's not the optimal route through turn 2 and 3 as far as Marc wins was right here in Le Mans last year. An amazing record Marc has got in sprints for the factory Ducati team. 22 sprints he's participated in red. He's won, although it feels like we've been saying this for a long time, trying to find that elusive 100th Grand Prix success. No Grand Prix victory since the San Marino round in Mazzano last year. Come on we go. Kissing the tarmac there, almost about getting his elbow down now through the mid part of the 13 and 14 section. It's all just about then picking up on the fat part of the tyre, getting the dry grip, hard braking and hard acceleration. 2 key features around this Le Mans circuit.
Needs to be watching his teammate at the moment, Pecco Bagnaia, who's going quickly, fastest of all through the first sector. He's right in touch with Di Gianantonio through the second sector. Gigi Dall'Igna is quite keen to see that himself. Will pick up the 63, I'm sure, in just a moment, because he's in the 3rd. Vinales in this Grand Prix 3 years ago, before 2 of the most mild-mannered and polite gentlemen in the paddock almost had some fisticuffs after taking each other out.
Yeah, there's nothing more fun. Resolved all very amicably. In fact, they shared the same scooter, didn't they, back to the paddock on that occasion. I mean, it was pretty amusing after the event to see, as Lewis just mentioned, 2 of the most affable color, as it so often does when these guys are pushing for the absolute limit on 300 horsepower, 220 mile an hour MotoGP machines. Bagnaia got to be happy with his afternoon. Still just the 900s covering the top 5 at the moment as Alex Rins charges the factory Yamaha into the final sector. At the moment, Alex Rins down in 6.
He's gone for fresh rubber, has Alex Rins. Brand new soft front, soft rear, although he didn't get the immediate benefit on that particular occasion. We saw Yamaha taking a step back with their front aero earlier on. That Yamaha V4 as they desperately try and find some performance from a motorcycle that admittedly Alex Rins won't be riding beyond the end of this season.
Yeah, he admitted, unfortunately, during his home Grand Prix in Jerez that he has been informed by Yamaha that there is no room at the inn in 2027 for Alex Rins. He still feels that there's plenty more for him to offer in the MotoGP World Championship. But in the game of musical chairs, a pretty frantic game of musical chairs, it doesn't look like he could be left without a chair, without a seat at the end of the campaign. You think of Frankie Morbidelli, who's struggling at the moment on the Ducati GP25, clearly with the Aldeguer, the Gian Antonio rumours about VR46. No potential slot for Frankie. Brad Binder looking very, very vulnerable, unfortunately, in terms of next season as well. Alex Rins certainly in that club as well. What's Alex going to do here, though? Is this potentially
top 10,
top 6, maybe? Should be top 10, shouldn't it? Yeah, 8 in between. 8th place then for Alex Rins. Johan Zarco, well, he is out on fresh rubber.
Yeah, now he's right behind him.
He's taken pole position, feeling. Yeah, Diogo Moreira's along,
which did annoy a few of his Moto2 rivals for a lot of last year, but it's a successful tactic. And of course, when you're trying to learn, as Diogo Moreira is ruining his rookie season, why not jump in behind your experience? Last year, he's going to be greeted by thousands of his compatriots cheering him on, and Zarco gets down to a mid 130, a 30.5 takes him into top spot, and Moreira right behind him up to P7.
Circuit pole position here back in 2018, becoming the first French rider to take a home pole since Christian Saron and Paul Ricard all the way back in 1988. So it looks like Zarco should find himself sailing into that second session. Once again, the 2 LCR Honda riders set to improve. Out of the museum corner they both go. Braking stability, that extra straight up and down stopping performance from the hard front. How popular is Johan Zarco in this part of France? How much is Johan Zarco loved in France in general? He fit that bill.
He needn't buy a drink again in France now, Johan Zarco, after becoming that first French home winner for over 70 years, and he's about to extend his lead still further here. Moreira struggling to go down to a low 130, maybe a 30.2 or a 30.3 for Johan Zarco, and this might already be booking his place in Q2.
This is smart as well by Moreira, smart by the team. They know that Zarco is an absolute Le Mans specialist. He does move the goalposts even further. We're down to a 130.197 from Zarco. Moreira fires himself up. Played for Moreira. Johan Zarco has gone early with his first time attack, and it has been a statement one as well. A 130.197. Zarco now over half a second clear of the chasing pack.
We're yet to see Diogo Moreira in qualifying 2. This clearly is the best chance he's had so far. It looks like KTM are going a similar route. This is Bastianini, isn't it? No, it's Acosta leading Binder, so the 2 factory KTM teammates also out together. Acosta, like Moreira.
So here goes 37 and 33. They power out of turn 4, down through the famous bridge into La Chapelle. Turn 6, this seemingly endless right-hander before you attack up the hill. Then now hard on the brakes once again into the second gear. Turn 7, another really good overtaking opportunity here on the brakes if you're in the mood for it. You've got a confidence in your front end, just making sure he's not impeding the 2 KTMs is Alex Marquez. Down into garage, there we go then. Pedro Acosta, both Bezzecchi and Martin in their first time attacks.
No sign of Binder improving behind him. It looked like a wild ride for Binder into the museum corner up behind Acosta. So the 30. Order from there. Acosta with a very strong third sector cut the gap to Johan Zarco, and this should leapfrog him ahead of Fabio Di Gianantonio and back into second place.
Yeah, we'll follow the Spaniard then now. That he's absolutely killed that final sector there under number 37. Yet it does pick him up 1 place. Up into P2 then goes Acosta. Still nothing for Zarco's impressive 1/3 further back in second place. Martin making his charge towards Q2, potentially moving up from 8th to 4th.
Costa and Agura have just set fastest first sectors elsewhere. We have to keep an eye on Marc Marquez too on the factory Ducati. He's just gone back out. He's just put a brand new soccer tire in, and he needs it at the moment. Marc Marquez, there's 7th and 8th.
Good laps coming in by Acosta and Agura. Acosta lost a bit of, Agura rather lost time in sector 2. Acosta is on the charge. He's got some nice temperature now in that Michelin rubber underneath him. Would have taken a little bit longer to have got temperature, optimal temperature in that harder front compared to the such an attacking rider on the front end of that KTM. With that hard holding up underneath him, well, this could be the best time of the weekend so far. Marco Bezzecchi also out of turn 12 he goes. Oh, he's down! Well, what we were just saying, or what was I just saying about his confidence in that hard front tyre, and he's pushing too hard. Acosta then bites the dust, trail braking into turn 13, and Acosta was on course for the fastest time of the weekend so far. He's A-OK, sprinting back to the paddock, but Acosta's gone down.
Into turn 13, the recordable section, we're arriving at it now, so Bezzecchi could see the just at the top of the picture, you can see Acosta trying to recover his way back to the pits again. Bezzecchi over the line takes 5th place. Martin will come across the line. He did back out of it, but I'm sure that Bezzecchi lap will get deleted.
As good as that hard front tyre will grip when you fling it on the side, as you would do with the sort of softer compound fronts, was that a factor at play there as far as Acosta is concerned. Ralph Fernandez on the RSGP, well, he's up to 3rd. Good lap that by Fernandez. Brilliant, 1:34.417.
So Marc Marquez did improve on that lap, but it got deleted due to the yellow flags. It would have only been a 3rd. Next looks like he's about to change that. Bastianini's now gone 2nd too. So we've got KTM's 2nd and 3rd.
Good day for France. Zarco fastest, Tech 3, French-based team.
Honda 1-2.
Honda. What is going on with Honda around this Bugatti circuit? Luca Marini set the fastest time this morning, and now it's his factory Honda colleague Juan Mir that decided, well, anything you can do, Luca, I can do better, mate. A 1:30.092 has put Mir fastest.
And Marc Marquez is now finally getting himself up to speed. Into 1:30, goes into 3rd place now for the world champion. So he maybe has now finally got himself up to speed. We haven't seen much of him, but the world champion with 10 minutes remaining is now up to 3rd. He's the next best behind those 2 factory Hondas.
Agura was pushing hard in the good lap when he just made a little bit of mistake going into the Blur S's, and he decided to pit at the end of that particular stint. Juan Mir is on the money once again, isn't he, on that RC213V. We pick him up now, hard on the gas, on the power, bit of wheelie. That's going to cost him a bit of time as he came out of turn 8, garage there. Hard on the front end once again, rear tyre, snakes left, it's snakes right, fishtailing all over the place, the rear of that factory Honda, but he's able to gather it all up and pick up the apex through 9 and 10.
Bezzecchi's lap time did get deleted. He and Martin are now back in the pits. They're 16th and 17th.
See a Honda leading, let alone a Honda 1-2 here. The Hondas, as he's done a good lap on the factory, the Ducati. Mir over the line, that's a 1:30.477. Now, can Bagnaia split the Hondas of Mir and Zarco? We're about to find out. Best line, 3rd quickest for Pecco Bagnaia.
So Honda 1-2, Ducati 3-4, KTM 5-6 with Bastianini and Acosta. But here comes Fabio Di Giannantonio about trying to dominate this French Grand Prix weekend. And is this where Fabio Di Giannantonio lifts himself up the order? Poor 3rd sector relative to the Hondas, but this should lift him nicely inside the top 6.
Yeah, those Honda talks with Gunther Steiner and Tech 3. The Honda bill might have just gone up a notch for A50s next year. Well, Bagnaia's crushing. And Antonio does find his PB of practice, a one charging towards top spot. This could be our first 1:29, our first 90-second lap of this French Grand Prix so far. We know how good Pecco is to win this final. Bagnaia muscling, wrestling that Ducati around.
That Honda clearly works very well through that same section. Once again, Bagnaia couldn't match Mir through sector 3. The 2 Aprilias, the factory Aprilias, Martin has clearly got the speed, but he's not got the time on his side now. He needs to deliver on this final one. Is Bagnaia going to give us the first 1:29 of the weekend? It's not, but it is quick enough to lift him ahead.
6.5 minutes of this practice session remaining. Bagnaia, Mir, Zarco, Di Giannantonio, Marc Marquez, Bastianini, Acosta, Alex Marquez, Fernandez and Agura. At the moment, they are your top 10, which at the moment, of course, does not feature our World Championship leader, Marco Bezzecchi, the top 2 in the World Championship right now, 16th and 17th respectively, as we get a replay of Pedro Acosta. gravity takes over, and down the road goes Pedro Acosta. At that stage of the session was second. He has been relegated back down to 7th now.
There's a little bit of a kick from the rear. Euros disappearing into the gravel trap as that KTM goes for it. He might just get himself into the top 10 as we now ride on board, and that's the last we'll see of that KTM. And DAZN pundit and KTM test rider Paul Espargaro not enjoying what he sees. Quartararo does.
Quartararo could get himself into Q2. You just know that he is wringing the neck out of that M1. You're not going to find anybody that's going to get anything more out of that Yamaha than Fabio. Some work to do late on here. 5 minutes of this session remaining. And still remaining down in 16th and 17th are Martin and Bezzecchi. Alex Rins out of nowhere. Yeah. Well, he's right behind. And Alex Rins taking full advantage of this reference ahead of him. Here we go now into the Blur S's. Now, this would be a shock for Alex Rins to put the factory Yamaha into from Rins on the 42 machine.
Knock his teammate out.
He has a bit of a twitch there, didn't he, Alex? That's how hard he was pushing on that Yamaha. Over the line, the 2 Spaniards will go. Martin 5th, Rins 3rd. Alex Rins goes.
Today, surely. Marco Bezzecchi then has 4 minutes remaining. He's P18 now, the World Championship leader. We're heading into genuine crisis territory for Bezzecchi. He's got 3 more laps to get himself into the top 10. At the moment, he's staring Q1 in the face.
This is Alex Rins, having been dumped by Yamaha next season and seemingly out of a MotoGP ride next season, saying, hey guys, I'm still fast enough to be at this level. I can still cut the mustard with the very, very best. Mention this is 150th, a brilliant 130.195. Luca Marini, fastest this morning, trying to rescue his day one here in Le Mans, down in 14th place at the moment. Jorge Martin, this is the Martinator.
Bezzecchi's improving, but as you saw there, the estimation at the moment is that he'll only move up 1 place, 0.18 of a second down at the halfway stage, but 3.5 tenths covers the entire top 10 at the moment, and that's all changing. Alex Marquez and Bastianini set personal best. Marini manages to put in a 30.4, but that's not quick enough.
Nowhere near quick at times. He's so good in the first half of this Le Mans lap, is Ayagura. Repeated times now seen with red sectors in the first and second splits. Martin then does 3rd place. Bezzecchi then only up to 12th. It's all on here for the world champs leader. He's been in dire straits before on Friday so far this season and come out smiling, but he's under the cosh.
He's about to chase out. They're looking at stability for Agura. They're both now booted out of the top 10. It's changing by the lap.
Jerez Grand Prix winner Alex, world champion Marc Marquez, and world champion Marco Bezzecchi at the moment, going into what we've got left here then in Le Mans.
Yeah, something went wrong for Marc in that final sector, so he's back out of it. So Marc's going to have one more shot at this when he comes around next time around. Here's Alex Marquez then, who only needs to find a half a 10. Antonio going super quickly behind him, and Alex Marquez matches Bagnaia to the 1,000th of a second. Yeah,
and they know that was a big lap. Look at the faces, look at the reaction in Gresini Racing, and what about this reaction in 129 incoming? Zarco's flying as well. We do get a 129, and it's courtesy of Fabio Di Gianantonio. 129.917 from Digia, but keep an eye on Zarco.
How big is this for Marco Bezzecchi? 15th up to 6th. The World Championship leader might well have just spared his blushes. Johan Zarco, though, is attacking the line. He takes top spot from Digia.
129.907 from Johan Zarco. The Frenchman really is right now on Lucio Cecchinello for Saturday and Sunday here in France. Zarco then finds a 129.907, exactly 100th of a second clear.
Marquez about to start his final flying seconds here to even get himself into Q2.
With Ayagura, Agura has the advantage in 9th. They'll just do that on count back. Agura's next best lap is quick as somebody has gone down.
That's ahead of Mark, he's in trouble.
We're in our headsets, we've got a faller here late on in Le Mans. Into the reigning world champion Marc Marquez is concerned. Well, it's over. Marc Marquez then comes through that sector. Was it Bagnaia that was on the floor? I was going to say it's his teammate. So Pecco Bagnaia then, who's going to go through to Q2 in 3rd place, wrestling with the marshals. It's going to put his teammate, reigning world champion Marc Marquez, in Q1.
I don't think he's fast enough anyway. I don't know whether Marc Marquez has seen the yellows and recognised it's all going wrong. Look, he's sitting up. Marc Marquez knows it's all over. The world champion is heading for qualifying 1 here at Le Mans.
An own goal by the Ducati Lenovo team. Nothing that Pecco Bagnaia could do, but he's crashed in a crash built. But as far as Marc Marquez is concerned, the reigning world champion into Q1 because of that crash. That moment there, little did he know it from Pecco Bagnaia, will be in Q1. No dramas, no problems. Magnifique once again here in Le Mans for Johan Zarco. His 129.907 1:09.07. Puts him in P1 here on practice Friday. What an opening day we've had here in the French sunshine. Johan Zarco once again lighting up Le Mans. Fastest by 100th of a second, clear of Fabio Di Gianantonio. Surely that's going to be one of the closest top 10s we've ever had on a Friday afternoon. There's not even 3:10 Q2. Zarco, Digia, Bagnaia, Alex Marquez, Mia, Martin, Bezecchi, Rins, Agura. What a job by Alex Rins in 8th place. Agura 9th, Acosta 10th. Despite his late fall when running second, he creeps into that second session. But Marc Marquez is troublesome. His problematic defence to his MotoGP World title in 2026 shows no signs of ending the 93 in Q1.
What an incredible session that was. So close. Honda fastest, Ducati's second, third and fourth, Honda fifth, the Aprilia's just a Martini, he's still going to do the job himself. Alex Rins up in 8th place. Spare a thought for his teammate, Fabio Quartararo, the other home favourite. He was only half a second away from his compatriot Zarco, but that amounted to 17th place.
Certainly now, as we feared he would, paid a heavy price for his early crash in the first. Clearly trying to keep himself in the shot window ahead of his 150th Grand Prix start. What a lap by Rins, one of the star performers of practice Friday. Let's get the thoughts of the boss, Mayora Store with Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. We've spoken a lot about Yamaha's troubles this year, but credit where it's due. That's an unbelievable lap from Alex to get into Q2, Mayo.
Yeah, he did a great job. Since this morning it was quite fast in all the circumstances. With the new tire, used tire, and yeah, I think he waited the right train to follow, and he did a good job. As you can imagine, for us, we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you will. Great job. Well done.
Thank you.
Class performance that by Alex Rins. He was 6th fastest this morning, as Mayora Store's done well to point out. But what a Friday. The perfect start to this French Grand Prix for Johan Zarco. On the back of his helmet it said Zarco did it. Of course, referencing his brilliance here in the flag-to-flag race of 2025. Can he do it again? Can rain or shine here on Sunday? Lucio Cecchinello's heart rate just gone up another notch. Johan Zarco fastest on Friday here in Le Mans. Can he do it once again? Let's get the thoughts of the boss for Jack.
Lucio, you said this morning that expectations would...
I mean, he made a fantastic job. Also, the team made a fantastic job. I want to say thank you for everyone. We are only Friday, but of course...
Yeah, fantastic job by LCR and by Johan Zarco. Only 2 riders today in the 129, Zarco and Di Gianantonio. Unfortunately, nowhere near the 29s, and plenty to ponder for our reigning world champion, Marc Marquez, 13th at the end of day one here and in Q1, and not given the chance late on to improve on his 130.371 because of yellow flags on his last flying lap at turn 6. And who brought out those yellow flags? None other than his factory Ducati teammate Pecco Bagnaia, and a sort of kick mark while he's down as well. Yeah. Bagnaia.
If you leave it down to that very last lap of the afternoon, you put yourself at risk of some yellow flags, some outside factors costing you everything. And I think it's debatable, to be honest, whether Marc Marquez would have been understandably steal the headlines at Le Mans. The lap of the day might well belong to Alex Rins.
Alex Rins, like all the other Yamaha riders, clearly at the moment not able to showcase the best of his opportunity quite brilliantly. One of our 2 riders in the 129 bracket today is Fabio Di Gianantonio. And once again, we're getting very used to saying this, aren't we, in 2026. Digia lands as your top Ducati on day one here in France. Fabio Quartararo session, 16 places between the 2 home heroes. That's how close the competition was on day one here at the Bugatti circuit in Le Mans. It's been some start to this Michelin Grand Prix of France. Hopefully the best is still to come, but on day one, The home fans going home happy.
An unbelievable opening day. Just to underline how close it was, there were 2 riders with identical times, 3rd and 4th, and 2 riders with identical times in 9th and 10th. Zarco quickest from Di Gianantonio and Bagnaia, whose late crash scuppered the Q2 hopes of his teammate. Alex Marquez 4th from Mir, Martin, Bezzecchi, Rins, Agura, and Pedro Acosta, who squeaked through to Q2 despite that crash at Recorder 1. Bastianini misses out for Tech 3 ahead of Brad Binder. Marc Marquez 13th, Ralph Fernandez, whose bike caught fire midway through the session, 14th ahead of Miller Marini. Quattararo, Morbidelli once again in Q1 ahead of Moreira, who was as high as 4th at one point. Injury replacement for Maverick Vinales at Tech 3.
So Johan Zarco then, top rider on day one here in front of his home crowd. Well, some very strong high 130s, low 131s, and then untouchable on a fresh soft rear tyre at the end of the session at 129.907, sending the home fans happy.
He switched across. He went for the hard front tyre on his latter runs when he went into time attack mode, and he joins Zarco in the 129s.
Pecco Bagnaia, despite that late crash at turn 6, waltzing in a 130.045, ensured Pecco inside the top 3. 22 laps in that session for the Italian.
An identical fastest lap time to him was Alex Marquez, who will be one of several, a little relieved in the end to be through to Q2. He was doing mid-31s for much of that session, 31.2, 31.3 sort of pace in the end. Got down to a 30-point flat on a brand new soft rear tyre, which saw him through in 4th.
How are we looking on the splits around this 4.19 kilometre Le Mans circuit? Agura super quick in that first sector once again, just ahead of Alex Marquez and Zarco.
3 from manufacturers in sector 2. Di Gianantonio just edging Rins in the second split.
Pedro Acosta leading a brace of Ducatis in sector
3. Juan Mir for Honda quickest in sector 4.
Well, that was some start, wasn't it? 2 proceedings here in the Michelin Grand Prix of France. French fans, surely we're not going to get 2 French wins in 12 months, thanks to Johan Zarco's brilliance. Your 2025 Le Mans Grand Prix winner sets this all out quite brilliantly on day 1.